It's day number 6 of Vlogmas and it's time to wrap up what was a very theatrical month. Hi everyone, my name is Koi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Today is day number 6 of Vlogmas. I'm going to be posting a new video every day in December up to and including Christmas Day. We're going to be doing a mixture of theatrical and bookish content this month, and today's video is a little bit of both, because if you don't know, last month I hosted a readathon that was called West End Reads. It's a readathon that was all inspired by musical theatre. I had a great time running it. I loved seeing you guys getting really involved in it as well. Basically, in order to complete this readathon, you had to obviously read books that were based around prompts that were to do with musical theatre, but also in order to buy your ticket to go and see that show, you had to take in some sort of content to do with the musical itself. So whether that was listening to a cast recording, going to see the show in person, whatever you did to take in that musical, that was buying your ticket and therefore allowing you to read the book. So what that means is that when people were submitting their books, I asked how they bought their tickets. So I have a lot of information about what musicals people were listening to, some information on what they were enjoying, what songs in particular they were gravitating towards. They're just like a wide variety. Some people were very specific, some people really weren't, but I thought it'd be fun to do a little bit of a stats video. I'm in like a weird backdrop at the minute because I don't normally sit here, and I thought I'd do like a more relaxed video, and for some reason I feel more uncomfortable doing this. So we're going to move on quite quickly onto some stats about West End Reads. So let's start with how many people we actually had sign up for the readathon. So overall we had 71 people sign up for the readathon, which is a lot more than I was expecting it to be. Like, I honestly, like, I knew my friends were going to sign up, and above that I was like, I'll be happy if like 10 people sign up for it. So when that number got over 50, like a few days before the readathon started, I got quite excited. By the end of it, it'd been over 70. I was just like, oh, okay, I was not expecting this, but I'm really glad that people did sign up and wanted to take part. I did ask as part of the sign up for people to tell me what their favourite musicals were and what their favourite songs from those musicals were. And the responses were varied. There wasn't really like one particular standout. There was quite a mixture of shows that were in there. We did have people that found it hard to narrow down to one show. I am one of those people, so that is fine. But for example, one of the first sign-ups we had was The Last 5 Years of Les Mis with a touch of Hamilton, and I felt like that set the tone for the rest of it. Was surprised that it took quite a while for anyone to choose Phantom of the Opera as a favourite, because it just feels like a classic that more people should love. But it took till like we got to nearly our 40th person to say that one, which was not what I expected. There was a lot of Six, a lot of Hadestown, a lot of Les Mis, a lot of Hamilton, Heathers, like the ones that you expect to appear, basically. A lot of Wicked as well, obviously. But let's move on to the stats from the actual readathon itself. So we'll start with the ones that my brain just can't quite like figure out at the minute, because it just feels like a very unrealistic number to me. So the amount of books that were submitted this month were 353. which is a lot of books to be read for the readathon. So thank you to everyone who took part and submitted a book. I'm just going to keep saying that throughout this video. The amount of pages that were read were 120,455. Like that does not compute in my brain at all. Like, that is a lot of pages. We did well, guys. We really did. And the number of shows that tickets were bought for is 601, because you could see up to 2 shows with each book that you read. But 601 means that at least 601 songs from musicals were listened to this month. And I know it's many, many more, because I know a lot of people listened to full cast recordings. But yeah, my brain just doesn't, like, these numbers just aren't sinking in. I've just spent a lot of time like getting all these stats together, and I'm just like, how did this happen? The most popular books that were logged, there were 2 of them. They were both, I know, part of buddy reads that were happening this month, because both of them, my friend group, were buddy reading. So A Dark Shade of Magic and I'm Glad My Mom Died were the 2 most popular books this month. Like I said, I know there was a buddy read of 4 of us that were reading I'm Glad My Mom Died, so we definitely contributed to that. And then A Dark Shade of Magic was the Schwabelong book this month. So makes sense that those were the #1 reads, but I'm happy they were, because they're both 5-star reads for me this month, both ones that I did read myself as well. For the shows that you were all choosing to see, the #1 is actually not what I was expecting. I don't know, actually I don't know what I was expecting. Like, part of me thought that people might choose shows that they really like and then try and fit books to them. I think this one was because the prompt was quite an easy one to fit for like various different types of stories, so people gravitated towards the prompt maybe more than the show, because the show was Jesus Christ Superstar and it was seen 21 times, and the prompt for that one was betrayal. So obviously that does fit into quite a lot of different types of books. So yeah, Jesus Christ Superstar was a musical that you guys were listening to most this month. I do want to point out that the second most listened to musical was in there with 17 tickets bought for it, and that was Moulin Rouge. which again is probably partly just because it was reread a favourite, so it's a prompt that people like to do, but I like to think that you all also just wanted to listen to Moulin Rouge because it's such a good show. I had to like talk about how much I love it somewhere, really. So what we're going to move on to now is how you guys bought your tickets. So obviously I can't sort of just do stats of this because people bought their tickets in vastly different ways. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go down the list and point out some of my favourites from in here, because like I said, some people were very specific. Some people just kind of said what song they were listening to. Some people listened to the entire cast recording. Some people gave me like little mini reviews on some of the things that they did. So I'm just going to go through and see what stands out. We did have a lot of submissions, so I'm not going to go through all 300, don't worry. But let's point out some of the more interesting ones, shall we? I will say one of the things that I really enjoyed was that people made playlists that were all the different musical songs, and then they were kind of swapped around each other as well. So like I know who was sharing playlists, and you can see that the songs match up, and I think that's really cool. So starting with some of the slightly different ones, we have somebody who listened to the NPR Music Tiny Desk concert of Hadestown on YouTube, which is obviously different than just listening to the regular cast recording. This same person also watched some adaptations and pro shots of things, so watched West Side Story, the movie adaptation from 2021, and the pro shot of Legally Blonde. Also watching some West End Live clips from 2022, which is always a good time. I really hope I get to go to West End Live again this year. The last time I was able to go was in 2019, and I do very much miss it. It's basically they take over Trafalgar Square for the day, put a stage there, and just do like short performances from all the different musicals on in London, and it's a really fun time, and also a place where I've discovered a couple of new musicals, because they often have like things that are being workshopped to perform to kind of see what the audience reaction is, and it's just always a good way to discover new shows. Watching the Newsies pro shot as well, always a good time. Oh, I love this one. We've got Cell Block Tango performed by Ben Platt, Jeremy Jordan and Leslie Odom Jr. That is a good performance to choose, well done. This person listened to the Hairspray soundtrack but also does have a ticket for the show in May. I love that for you, I hope you have a good time. Andy went to go and see Joseph in Edinburgh. Joseph is actually the first show I ever went to see on stage, so that just screams nostalgia at me. I hope you had a good time. We had somebody who was fulfilling the prompt for Hadestown, and they put down that they watched Wait For Me and The Wedding Song, and now I want to watch this musical. Understandable, I would also like to see Hadestown. Watch the whole of Donny Osmond version of Joseph on YouTube. He will always be my Joseph. Fair enough. Like, Donny Osmond was definitely my Joseph growing up as well. I do also love Lee Mead as Joseph, because that's one of the first shows I saw in the West End. I went for my 18th birthday, and it was kind of a nice one because I'd seen it a lot in childhood, and then I went to see it again. But yeah, Donny is always a good choice. Oh, slightly controversial. We have watched about a minute of Michael in the Bathroom from Be More Chill. Not a fan. Michael in the Bathroom is one of my favourite songs. Like, I love Be More Chill, and that is my favourite song from that show. But I do always appreciate seeing people with different tastes in things. So, interesting. The same person has then later put, I listened to my favourite ABBA song, Super Trooper, as Mamma Mia is garbage. Okay, I can get on board with that one. I'm not a huge fan of Mamma Mia either. But again, I understand that plenty of people are, so interesting to see different opinions on different shows. Listen to In a Crowd of Thousands from Anastasia. Would see this one. Again, same, but God knows if I'll ever actually have a chance to see it, because it does not look like it's coming over to the UK anytime soon. Oh, we're getting to my logs here now, because I've put all the names in alphabetical order. And we're getting to my logs because the first one I've come to is that Jamie Moscato as Christian. That is how I bought my ticket for the Moulin Rouge prompt this month, is that I went to see Moulin Rouge in London because I wanted to see Jamie Moscato as Christian, and he was so good. And I just feel like I have to mention it in every video where I talk about Moulin Rouge. He was so good. So that is how I bought the ticket to be able to read A Dark Shade of Magic later on as my rereader favourite. Another like interesting way that I bought a ticket was going to the Reimagining Musicals exhibition at the V&A, because that had various things from different musicals in there, and I used it because they were showing clips of Singing in the Rain on the way out. Moving on from my own ways of buying tickets, we have somebody who saw a live production of The Addams Family at the local community theatre. I love that, supporting your local theatre as well. We have somebody here who watched a bunch of pro shots as well, so we've watched Hamilton on Disney Plus, watched Les Miserables the stage concert. I love the stage concert recording, that is a good choice. And then also the Sweeney Todd movie as well. So I love this one. It was for Hadestown, and said about listen to a jazz band arrangement for Way Down Hadestown that I'm going to try and convince our director to do next semester. I love that. Listened to several songs from Company and can't remember which song specifically, but remembered really liking Being Alive. Being Alive is a great song. More of watching Newsies on Disney Plus. I love that everyone was watching Newsies. Like, Newsies is just so good. So good. Someone watching Ring of Keys from Fun Home, the Tony Awards performance particularly, that is actually the first time that I ever heard that song, was watching the Tony Awards. Oh, we've got some bootlegs coming in now. I was waiting for these to happen. We've got a Moulin Rouge, we've got a Bonnie and Clyde. Like, sometimes if that's the only way that you can watch it, like, I don't condone people filming them, but if they're out there to watch, if that's the only way you're going to be able to watch it, I'm not saying anything. Oh, I noticed this one earlier that I really liked. So the book that they read was Fraternity, which I'm guessing, judging by the prompts and the way the tickets were bought after, is Fraternity, the new book written by Andy Mientus, who is actually a musical theatre actor, because the prompts that they picked was Spring Awakening, and they watched the Deaf West Spring Awakening bootleg, and then Hunchback of Notre Dame bootleg, and then they said because Michael Arden. So Michael Arden is Andy Mientus' husband, and Andy Mientus was in Spring Awakening, amongst other things. I first knew of him from being in Smash. I then went to see him in a show called The View Upstairs, which was on in London for a very short period of time, and then he was also a special guest at the Jeremy Jordan concert this year. But I just like that one because it's very themed with the book. I'm assuming that's what you meant when you said Fraternity. You didn't put an author name, but yeah, I just like that that's all sort of themed there. My brain is happy of how that all goes together. There are a lot of bootlegs happening in this section. We've got Hadestown, we've got Moulin Rouge, we've got Hadestown again. There's another Moulin Rouge, and this person has particularly pointed out the different actors that they have seen. I love that it's just watching all the different versions. Somebody went to go and see Moulin Rouge at their local theatre and did a sing-along to West Side Story with their friends. That sounds fun. Rewatched the production of The Addams Family I directed last year. Despite my fears, it holds up. Listened to all of Cinderella and I confirmed what I already thought. It's meh. Okay, understandable. I will say, having seen the show, it is much better seen in person, partly because the cast was actually really good, but also that cast recording is a concept album, and it had changed so much before it actually came on the stage, which is weird because it was released as the show started, but they recorded it a while before and just didn't release it for a while. I think what it was is because it was during lockdown times, they recorded the cast recording whilst they weren't able to rehearse and things like that. But then held off on releasing it until closer to the time that the show started to kind of get the press and things. But then it just meant that the album came out and it was already different from the show. It's a bit strange. It's not the best cast recording ever. I mean, the show's not the best show ever, but it's better than that cast recording makes it seem like it is. But also, Angela Weber does some really horrible things to the cast on that show, so let's not support it. Anyway. Oh, I like this. Listen to Act 1 of Les Mis staged version and then Act 2 in French. That's some commitment there. I just want more to the fact that there isn't an Addams Family cast recording, so just listen to the theme song. There actually is a cast recording. It's not on Spotify. It is of the Broadway cast. You can find it on YouTube, but it has changed since then because basically they did the Broadway version and then it went on tour in the US, I believe, and they made quite a lot of changes to the touring production. And the production that has been on in the UK more recently is based on the US touring production. So there is a cast recording, but it's just not how it's actually performed now. And yes, it's hard to find in the UK for some reason. I did not realise that when I made these prompts, because then people were asking me where to find it and I was like, I've listened to it before, quite a few times, but it is still on YouTube last time I checked. Oh, I feel like Meg is going to appreciate this one because it says listen to all of Bear on YouTube, which might be a new favourite. Which, considering that the prompt for that one is underrated, I like that is being introduced to more people. Listen to Lion King and Moulin Rouge cast recordings at work whilst also entering the lotteries because I need to see them again, but it has no money. Yeah, I get that. Moulin Rouge in particular is very expensive. Actually, Lion King is fairly expensive as well. So yeah, I get that. Constantly singing sugar, butter, flour every time I make tea and shouting order up when dinner is ready and then going into the full song after whilst plating up. I love that. Waitress is my song I sing whenever I'm baking, which makes perfect sense. I'm planning on baking this weekend and the waitress cast recording will be up full blast while I'm doing it. What baking can do has to be listened to whilst you are baking, obviously. Sung along with Matilda whilst booking my tickets to go and see it in the cinema. I hope you enjoyed the film. I actually went to see that this month as well. I had a great time. Got halfway through Be More Chill before deciding it wasn't for me, but listened to all of Dear Evan Hansen. Fair enough. Not every show is for every person. Went to see Six in Bradford. Nice. I hope you had a great time. I love that people actually went to see shows and that's how they bought their tickets for this readathon. I love that for every book Sharon has listed, it just said, listen to Becca's whole playlist. Nice. Smash is definitely doing the right thing here to get the Moulin Rouge prompt. I watched Aaron Tveit multiple times in multiple videos doing the opt up, obviously. I also know that Smash did this because she sent these videos to me multiple times on TikTok and I very much appreciate every time it comes through, even though I'll have already watched it. I'm just yeah, just keep sending them my way. Thank you. A lot of people listening to the songs that were recommended on the tickets. I'm glad that I could help you out in picking some songs to listen to. Becca went to see Anne Juliet. I'm well aware of that fact because you went to see it with me. Listen to the whole of Six multiple times. Are you surprised? No, not at all. We have now got to the section which is called How Did Meg Buy Her Tickets? Because Meg was very descriptive. So I'm just going to read a few of my favourites out to you. Listen to So Much Anastasia, It's Ridiculous. In a Crowd of Thousands is very high up on my Spotify Wrapped. Listen to The Last Night of the World and had saxophone riffs in my head for days. Listen to a Chloe Rex and Spring Awakening and then did not listen to the rest of the recording. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I will listen eventually. I will keep hounding you until you do listen to it. Danced around to Buenos Aires and sedately listened to People, then watched Mickey Jo's video on the cast recording. That's Mickey Jo Theatre, who did a video of reacting to all of the new Funny Girl cast recording. I also watched that and then immediately went and listened to the entire cast recording because I needed to form my own opinions on Leah Michelle on that recording. Listened to Bonnie and Clyde and discussed it at length. Listened to Captain of the Guard and got sad I will never see Hunchback on stage. It may happen someday. Like, stop being pessimistic. You never know. Watched Dan Juliet with you. Duh. Yeah, that happened. Listened to Hadestown practically every day, but especially sang Wait For Me dramatically in the shower. Listen to the Beast song, and then immediately listen to Evermore because it is better. It is better. It should be in the stage show. This is my personal favourite. Saw Jamie Moscato in Moulin Rouge and witnessed Chloe have a crisis. Yes, you did. Yes, you definitely did. Considered buying tickets to Lion King, but actually just listened to They Live in You. Yeah, we were supposed to go and see Lion King this weekend. It didn't happen, but, you know, it's fine. That is the end of the Meg section, and it's actually the end of the ways that people bought their tickets. So, a very varied way that people chose to buy their tickets for this readathon. But it seems like everyone had a great time, and I'm very, very happy about that because I also had a great time, and I just, again, want to say thank you to everyone for taking part. I am planning on hosting this readathon again. It probably won't be until next year. It's not going to be one that I do like every few months. Expect it to pop back up again next November. That is the plan anyway. I've already got thoughts in mind for what to do to make it different, whether we're going to make it a little bit more competitive this time. But yeah, I'm just really excited for all the things that are coming up with this. I'm just really excited to, I just always get really excited to talk to people about theatre in case you haven't noticed. But that is pretty much everything. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. If you did take part in the readathon, comment and tell me what your favourite song was that you listened to for a musical this month. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Bye.